Travelers of Reddit, where do you never want to go again? Manila. I loved the other places I went in the Philippines, but Manila was awful. The air quality, the traffic, the garbage, and the weird proliferation of air-conditioned shopping malls. Most of all, the child poverty was heart-wrenching. A good wake-up call for a privileged Westerner, but not one I want again. You know why they charge you 20 to leave the Manila airport? Because they don't know you'd pay 50. Currently in Philippines, and been here many times due to my Filipino wife. Do not get a taxi straight out of Arrival's ripoff, or Scammers Walk, left to the grab a taxi kiosk Uber copy, or go upstairs, when you are in Arrival's area, and walk outside for the metered taxes real taxes, and they are cheap. I wish the Philippines would fix this as it is the worst first impression getting ripped off straight out the airport. Grab Lyft in Southeast Asia. Your Lyft apps will show Grab when you open them here. Pueblo, Colorado. It's perpetually a Tuesday in 1988 there. Every day. Best friend lives there and says it's one of the most boring places he's ever lived. He's from Oklahoma like I am, so that's saying something. United Arab Emirates. Why anyone ever decided to start a city where it's 120 degrees and 90% humidity every day is far beyond me. Oil. Freeport, Bahamas. The beaches were very dirty, and I just felt like I was on a shipyard. They also have a problem with feral dogs. They were everywhere. It broke my heart to see the skin and bone dogs. I guess so many of them starve to death they cannot keep up with the body pickups. I saw too many decaying dogs to count. Seriously would never go back. Edit. Although I did not enjoy going to Freeport, it really made me realize how nice I have it here in the US. Another reason I didn't care for my trip was due to the fact that I was out there vacationing, sipping on martinis, while the locals were struggling to put food on the table. I saw where they lived and it really broke my heart. I felt very guilty knowing that my tourist ass wasn't assisting them really in any way. I'm not familiar with Bahamian tax laws and government issued programs, but I can't imagine that the tourist money goes back to the people if that makes sense. And I also really started upping my volunteer game, especially with the Humane Society. I actually posted the same thing. I will say though, that they have a Lucayan National Park east of the city that has a huge beautiful beach with very few people. But I spent 6 months on that island for work, and on the second weekend I realized all there was to do was to go to the tourist bars and read while nursing a drink. Probably the Hollywood Boulevard bit in LA. It's not interesting and peeping busy. It's funny because there's so many better places in LA, but everyone wants to go to Hollywood. I'm going to LA for the second time next month. Do you have any recommendations? Last time I was there we stayed in a hotel on Hollywood Boulevard. So I'm really looking for some authentic LA experiences this time around. Edit. Wow. I did not expect this many responses. Thanks everyone. We'll be staying in an Airbnb in Koreatown for just a few days, so we've got some planning to do. We are really into the outdoors, food, and museums, so this is a great list. Santa Monica / 3rd Street Promenade. Sautelation restaurants and boba. Farmers Market in the Grove. Beverly Center is about a few blocks away as well. Universal Studios Warner Brothers Studio Tour Pali Center. Downtown Last Bookstore. Little Tokyo Plaza de Kakuya Ramen. Mocha. Broad. Grand Central Market. Bradbury Building right across Grand Central. Catch a concert at the Hollywood Bowl. A movie at the Chinese Theater. Or a musical at Hollywood Pantages. A lot of themed bars in downtown Tri-82. An arcade bar in the Arts District. Also near the buildings they use for the outdoor of Paddy's Pub in Isip. Speakeasy themes. There's also a library themed bar. Rooftop bars, but the waits are usually very long. Howlin' Ray's. Phillips Original. And Bayo Horse in Chinatown. Ice cream. Saffron and Rose. Salt and Straw. Ice Cream Lab. Amarino. Churro Burra. Sprinkles. EMC Seafood. Streetwear stores on Melrose / Fairfax. Jetty Villa in Malibu. LACMA/Labrie Pits on Miracle Mile. Korean BBQ in Town. Leo's Taco Truck open until 2 to 3 a.m. Komodo on Pico Boulevard, really good Asian fusion. Huntington Gardens a bit northeast of downtown. Outdoor movie nights in Hollywood, Forever Cemetery. California Science Center Museum of Natural History near USC. Lake Hollywood Griffith Observatory, Griffith Park, Hollywood Sign Hike, all in the same vicinity. LA Dodgers game, best team in baseball right now. But beware the time to exit the parking lot after a game. Abbott Kinney Boutiques. Keys on Van Nuys. Keys on Van Nuys. You won't get a lemon at Toyota of Orange. Habima. This place had such a bad reputation they changed the name 2 years ago. Obviously not fooling anyone, guys. What did it used to be? I have old maps. Used to be Habima. Is now Massachusetts. Definitely not a touristy area by any means. I was surprised, and also not surprised to see it on this thread. Never been. But I've heard stories. Imagine us, 4 high school girls on a road trip to Edmonton. Decide to stray off the highway to grab some smokes and snacks. 10 minutes later, lost in Habima, which was sketchy AF. Can't find a gas station, and I hit a huge pothole while driving and stall the car, still learning stick shift as I get the car started. My friend in the backseat is screaming as 2 huge men walk towards the car, one holding a baseball bat. Yeah. Sounds about right. Habima was the reserve in which a random drive-by shooting killed a napping 4-year-old. Shot through drywall. I lived near Eggville, which is known for the Keekstra case study found in a lot of social studies textbooks. And also a KKK community. I went to the same church as Keekstra for a long time and didn't even know until I brought up learning about him in social class to my dad, and he said that's the old man who sits across from you at church. Came here just to see TRLF for my good old hometown of Gary, Indiana. Every time. Cuta Beach, Bali. Had such high expectations, but there was just trash everywhere. Edit. A few people have questioned my high expectations, so just to explain. I didn't have high expectations for Cuta specifically, but Bali in general. I was also 15ish at the time, so was not involved with the researching at all as my parents planned and paid for it. I had only heard about Bali from people/TV shows/magazine/social media, and from there it seemed like paradise, so there ya have it. Completely agree. It was quite horrible, and add in the street vendors that would physically grab you and pull you into their store, and I did not have a good experience. Other parts of Bali are beautiful. Yeah, we briefly visited Cuta because my boyfriend wanted to see it. Told him to buckle up and that we'd regret it, and sure enough we did. Only highlight was a man sitting by himself in the sand staring forlornly at his buried legs. My mum's actually from the nearby East Java region of Banyuwangi, so I spent a fair bit of my childhood in Bali, and Cuta was trashy 20 odd years ago, let alone now. We wound up going to North and Northwest Bali, which was pleasant, however. Just a quiet resort surrounded by deer and monkeys chilling on the beach. Then a bush trek to a jungle waterfall. I can't recall the name of the resort as it was one we booked over Airbnb, but it was a decent one and the staff were super friendly. It was a resort that could access Minjangan Island and was within the West Bali National Park. Belize City. Belize was one of our stops for the cruise we were on. I always heard about how gorgeous Belize was, and I'm sure there are beautiful parts of Belize, but Belize City was an absolute speep hole. They pretty much dropped a majority of white US citizens and thought it would be okay to let us roam a city that was torn by local civil war. The city was full of armed military guards standing at street corners, and the city canals and streets were incredibly polluted. I live in Baltimore and have seen some bad neighborhoods, but Belize City seemed way worse than anything I've seen. Many stores had armed guards who would unlock the door to let you in, and once you were inside, they would lock the door behind you. We didn't experience any issues with the or violence, but it was the strangest feeling getting stared down from every angle. We stayed for about an hour and then decided it was time to get the peep out. As we were leaving, there were 3 people standing near the port. They looked at us and said, "Welcome to the real world." Once we got back to the ship, we strolled past the lobby. There may have been 4 or 5 employees working the customer service desk. Each employee had a deep line and the chatter was all centered around angry complaints about dropping us off at Police City. Needless to say, that same cruise line took Belize off their itinerary soon after. Somalia. I went there when I was in the Navy and spent some time on shore looking at pits full of corpses and kids with machine guns. Peep that place. Greyhound bus station in Atlanta. I have never seen such an array of terrifying things happen in one small space. That place is a nightmare. A quandary. Are Greyhound stations located in the ghetto of each city, or does their presence create one? Nobody is quite sure. It's like asking if the chicken or the egg came first.